Curious George and the Bunnies. This is George. George is a good little monkey and always very curious. One day, George found a little house. Inside was a mother bunny and all her baby bunnies. George was curious. He wondered what it would feel like to hold one. It was fun to hold a baby bunny. George wanted to play hide and seek. He put the bunny down, but the bunny ran off like a shoot. Where did the bunny go? George looked everywhere, but the bunny was gone. All the fun was gone too. George was sad. Now he could not put the bunny back in the house with the mother bunny. George had an idea. Mother bunny could help him. He ran to the bunny house and put a string on her. She knew just what to do. George followed Mother Bunny. Soon she saw something. George saw it too. The baby bunny was hiding in a hole. George helped the bunny out. Then they all ran back to the bunny house. George took the string of Mother Bunny and the two bunnies hopped inside. George was glad to see Mother Bunny and all her babies settle safely down to sleep. Good night, bunnies. The end. What is your favorite part of the story? My favorite part of the story is where George and the Mother Bunny found the baby bunny. This book is Curious George at the Aquarium. This is George. He was a good little monkey and always very curious. Today, George and the man with the yellow hat were visiting the aquarium. "George," said the man, "please wait here while I buy the tickets." George tried to wait, but he was so excited. What was inside? He wanted to look over the walls, but they were too high. Just then he heard a splash and a whoosh. Water flew high into the air. People cheered. What could that be? George was curious. He hopped over the gate into the aquarium. How surprised he was! Swimming right in front of George was two beluga whales. The mother and the baby beluga whale swam right past him. And not far away was a family of sea lions, diving and splashing. What fun! George noticed people walking toward a big door. Could there be more to see? He followed the crowd. Now where was he? It was darker inside and there were fish everywhere. George did not know where to look first. In one tank, there were sharp-toothed piranhas. In another tank, there were seahorses. In another tank, there was a large octopus. George saw a group of children across the room. An aquarium staff member was pointing to different sea creatures. This is a starfish. This is a clam. And this is an urchin. Nearby there was a long, low, colorful tank. It was perfect for touching. George was curious. As he reached his hand into the water, a large crab came scuttling from under a rock right toward his finger. Snap! Ouch! Poor George. He didn't like this exhibit. Do not touch. George slipped out a door into the sunlight. But, oh, what was going on here? George saw a fat, funny-looking black and white fish under the water. He watched as they flew. As he watched, they flew up out of the water. What kind of fish does that? And where did they go? George wondered. Where penguins live. George climbed up and into their exhibit. They were not fish at all, but penguins, of course. George hopped like a penguin, flapped his wings like a penguin, and waddled like a penguin. A crowd gathered and laughed, but when he slid on his belly like a penguin, the aquarium staff stopped by to check on the penguins. A monkey in the penguin exhibit? George opened the door to escape, but instead, all the penguins ran out. Penguins everywhere. The staff was angry at George. How could they catch all the penguins? In all the excitement, nobody noticed the penguin chick falling into the water. No one but George. The baby penguin hadn't learned how to swim yet. As only a monkey can, George scuttled the rope hanging over the beluga tank and swung over to the water and saved the chick. The director of the aquarium and the man with the yellow hat heard the commotion and came running. That monkey helped the baby penguin, said the boy in the crowd. No one else could have saved him, said the girl. The director thanked George for his help and made him an honorary staff member of the aquarium. George said goodbye to his new penguin friends. He could not wait to come back to the aquarium and visit them again. The end. What was your favorite part of the story? My favorite part of the story is where George saw the octopus. This book is Curious George, A Home for Honeybees. George and Steve like to build things. You two are good builders, like bees, said Betsy. George was curious. Bees could build things? Bees make honeycombs inside their hives to store honey, Betsy said. She gave some to George and Steve to taste. Betsy showed them her poster from Earth Day. Bees build hives in trees to lay their eggs and store honey. All the bees follow a queen bee. She's the biggest bee in the hive. Worker bees go to flower getting nectar and pollen to make honey. But the honeycomb was very sweet. When Betsy left for dance class, George and Steve ate the whole thing. They needed to find more honeycomb. George and Steve went to the park to look for a beehive tree. Be careful! Bees can sting, Steve said. George could not find the hive, but he found something else. He saw a beekeeper at the Earth Day festival in the park. This is a beehive, the beekeeper said. I built it myself. It works the same way as a hive in a tree. The bees make honeycomb for the forms in the top box. The box at the bottom is where the queen bee lives and lays her eggs. You can build your own beehive, the beekeeper said. Then you can get more honeycomb. They went back to George and Steve's house to get started. Steve drew plans for the hive. George thought building boxes would take a long time. George tried to use straws. Some straws didn't fit together. But the kitchen cabinet would make a great beehive. Surely the man with the yellow hat would not mind. George knew where to get frames. He and Steve put all the parts together. Their beehive was ready to go back to Betsy's house. Now they needed to find some bees. George had an idea. Maybe if their hive had flowers, the bee would move in. But just then, Betsy came home. "I'm sorry we ate all your honeycomb," said Steve. "We built you a hive to make more." Steve and George were worried. Betsy would be angry, but instead she looked happy. "This is the best present ever," Betsy said. "Besides, the piece of honeycomb was for you. I've got lots more." What a relief! Betsy's project was not ruined, and there was more honeycomb. Everyone was happy. Well, almost everyone. The end. What is your favorite part of the story? My favorite part of the story is where they said, well, almost everyone.